every human on Earth connected. In thought, in feeling.
Yeah, that's me.
In real time.
She's here.
Can you see her?
Beatrice Murray.
Welcome to the feed, where our shared experience
It's just an enhancement.
Show me.
is now a reality.
Just put your hand under the scanner so I can verify your career chip. Calcutta, we have a problem.
Delivery boy? I must have mixed up the chips. It's a simple
Oh, here's our cryogenic counselor.
My, what a peculiar place to have a party. You know, Dino, we really shouldn't be doing this. After all, we haven't been invited, and curiosity often leads to trouble. Goodbye, Dino. Goodbye.
Something's wrong. I feel off.
They think her feed did something to her brain.
The world needs this technology. Millions are in danger.
The feed is causing erratic, violent behavior.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice. Tumbling down the rabbit hole.
Every system is susceptible to viruses.
Everything is under control.
What made you do that?
I don't know.
Your safety is of the utmost importance to us. Importance to us.
They're coming.
Importance to us. Importance to us.
In the wrong hands, it could tear us apart.
Former President Trump is cleared to return to Twitter for the first time in nearly 2 years. Elon Musk, the social media site's owner, reinstated his account and reversed a ban that was put in place in the aftermath of the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Musk says he reversed the ban after holding a poll that he says showed 51.8% of Twitter users say Trump's account should be reinstated. Whether he returns to Twitter, though, remains to be seen. Today, the 2024 presidential candidate said he does not see any need to come back.
1, 2, 3. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
No one knows who the Patriots really are. Even my instructions come from a cutout.
But you're the president. You have power.
No, I'm just a figurehead.
What?
I don't have any control. The real power is in the Patriots' hands.
The Patriots?
The truth behind this country. Politics, the military, the economy. They control it all. They even choose who becomes president. Putting it simply, the Patriots rule this country. That's the story given to the general public. Following his resignation, the Patriots selected me, their new pawn for the presidency.
But that would mean that the presidential race was...
That was quite a show, wasn't it? It was a well-scripted drama staged by the Patriots for the benefit of the public. Even the Democrats and Republicans were dancing to the Patriots' tune. It is a means to preserve the world as it is. It will establish a new form of control. The Patriots will use it to keep their place as the country's true rulers. Right now, they feel pressured and threatened.
By what?
They fear an overabundance of digital information. The world will drown in the coming flood of information, and they along with it.
Glenn Fisher, your skills and personality are being sadly wasted in this den of imbecility.
Like it or not, this year's the only world that I got.
What is that?
The future.
Just give me that.
I promise not to tell anyone. But you almost look happy.
You're inside what we call a peripheral.
What do you mean?
You think this is a game, but it's real. It just hasn't happened yet.
The Arsenal plans include a system to digitally manage the flow of information, making it possible to shape the truth for their own purposes. In short, the Arsenal system is the key to their supremacy.
The key?
Yes. The GW system is the Patriots' trump card. The Patriots' trump card.
The Oracle of Delphi is where you go for information about the future. Thus, the performance is about control of information. In the digital age, the battle for information has just begun.
The president said that Arsenal gear was the Patriots' key to supremacy.
That's as good a description as any.
What exactly is it?
It's a massive data processing system capable of controlling information on a global scale.
A data processing system?
You've all lost so much. We intend to restore it to you. I stand before you tonight to announce the first true artificial intelligence, Kronos. True artificial intelligence. Kronos will soon solve the problems that have plagued humanity. Kronos represents the rejuvenation of life. For our future. Tonight, this night, we enter a new age.
That's right. The system's a social device for maintaining the Patriots' control. Now, look at it like this. Political scandal, corporate corruption, up until now, the Patriots have managed to keep a lid on these and other self-serving events. But with their existing data processing system, they're no longer able to effectively control the flow of information generated at the individual level. With the newly created system, they can fully regulate digital information. High-level information can be categorized in stages, given clearance levels, and deleted as necessary, never to be seen by the public.
This is Kronos. Do not be afraid. Our once beautiful world is now infected. Change is necessary if it is to survive. It may be the end of your life, but it is the beginning of so much more. You were once one with what surrounded you. You have completed the final stage in your evolution by ushering in the new age. You created and destroyed for centuries until finally your purpose was fulfilled.
Raiden, are you receiving? We're still here.
How's that possible? The AI was destroyed!
Only GW.
Who are you?
To begin with, we're not what you'd call human. Over the past 200 years, a kind of consciousness formed layer by layer in the crucible of the White House. It's not unlike the way life started in the oceans 4 billion years ago. The White House was our primordial soup, a base of evolution. We are formless. We are the very discipline and morality that Americans invoke so often. How can anyone hope to eliminate us? As long as this nation exists, so will we.
Cut the crap! If you're immortal, why would you take away individual freedoms and censor the net?
Jack, don't be silly.
Don't you know that our plans have your interests, not ours, in mind?
What?
Jack, listen carefully, like a good boy.
The mapping of the human genome was completed early this century. As a result, the evolutionary log of the human race lay open to us.
We started with genetic engineering, and in the end, we succeeded in digitizing life itself.
Meet Baby X.
This is Baby X, so she's basically an autonomously animated virtual infant. All of her behaviors are generated on the fly by neural networks running live, and so she's seeing me and listening to me and responding to what I do. So she's going to start wondering what I'm doing and starting to get upset because I'm not paying attention to her. So I need to calm her down, but I have to talk to her like a real baby. It's okay. Hey.
Baby X is driven by a virtual nervous system. So let's take a look at what that actually means.
What we're looking at here is Baby X's virtual anatomy, which is all controlled by her virtual nervous system. So that's controlling everything that she's looking at, all of her expressions. It's even controlling her breathing rate and her heartbeat. We can make it more transparent and we can zoom out and see the whole model. All of the motion that you're looking at is controlled essentially by her brain model, which is driving her limbs, her facial expressions.
From the very beginning, we knew that we want to make something which looks great. We wanted to create an experience, not the next massive multiplayer game.
Metaverses are the future of not only the communication and information sharing, but also the future of experience in the new internet, where we can experience much more than we did before on the flat screens.
And we're going through a fascinating process, the same that you would have in film or in gaming, with a team of writers or a development team, because we need to think, how does the world function? What are the dynamics of it? What is the framework?
And it's not that easy to design a city on Mars. You need to first answer a series of other questions. When your future is set, in what year, what technologies are available to you. So because you need to know how you go to Mars, how you transport people and materials to Mars. Everyone can experience things that we are envisioning now in a virtual space.
For me, like the ultimate goal will be where people will start to treat our metaverse like a part of their lives.
Due to the big brands, of the interest of the big brands right now, we're gonna move into really interesting world when it comes to visiting stores, purchasing products, or even sightseeing, because I imagine we will move some of the monuments, or maybe the world wonders, into the metaverse, where people who can't afford to travel, they will be able to explore it firsthand in a real, hyper-realistic metaverse.
It's exciting how fast things changes, hundreds of ideas per second, and they implement them and see what sticks. This is definitely prototyping on the go approach, and this is super exciting.
We can see the facial nerves through here. Let's take another level deeper, and you can see her virtual brain model here. You see the brainstem, which is basically responding to all kinds of sensory input.
It's a world first. Never before has a biomechanical fusion been asked to do so much. It's going to feel strange initially. The neural pathways in your brain will be trying to have a conversation with a foreign body, trying to learn to pass the baton. The key is to let it grow into itself.
Can you feel it when I do this? My guess is this is going to be a piecemeal process. You shouldn't be expecting unreasonable results so soon. Oh my God.
Nobody can know. They make people like me wait years to test something like this. But I can't wait for them. Signing confidentiality agreements is never fun, but I bet it will feel good to do it with your own hand.
Who's moving my arms and my legs, me or your widget?
You're the one doing it all. You're not a robot. STEM works in service of your brain. Your brain gives STEM a command, he makes it happen.
But there are things not covered by genetic information.
What do you mean?
Human memories, ideas, culture, history.
Genes don't contain any record of human history.
Is it something that should not be passed on? Should that information be left at the mercy of nature?
We've always kept records of our lives, through words, pictures, symbols, from tablets to books.
But not all the information was inherited by later generations. A small percentage of the whole was selected and processed, then passed on. Not unlike genes, really.
That's what history is, Jack.
But in the current digitized world, trivial information is accumulating every second, preserved in all its triteness, never fading, always accessible.
Rumors about petty issues, misinterpretations, slander.
All this junk data, preserved in an unfiltered state, growing at an alarming rate.
It will only slow down social progress, reduce the rate of evolution.
Right. You seem to think that our plan is one of censorship.
Are you telling me it's not?
You're being silly. What we propose to do is not to control content, but to create context.
Create context?
The digital society furthers human flaws and selectively rewards development of convenient half-truths. Just look at the strange juxtapositions of morality around you.
Billions spent on new weapons in order to humanely murder other humans.
Rights of criminals are given more respect than the privacy of their victims.
Although there are people suffering in poverty, huge donations are made to protect endangered species. Everyone grows up being told the same thing.
Be nice to other people.
But beat out the competition.
You're special. Believe in yourself and you will succeed.
But it's obvious from the start that only a few can succeed.
Politicians have traditionally hidden behind three things: the flag, the Bible, and children. No child left behind. No child left behind. Oh, really? Well, it wasn't long ago you were talking about giving kids a head start. Head start, left behind? Someone's losing ground here. But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting by a system that threw them overboard 30 years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. The big club and you ain't in it. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
You exercise your right to freedom, and this is the result. All rhetoric to avoid conflict and protect each other from hurt. The untested truths, spun by different interests, continue to churn and accumulate in the sandbox of political correctness and value systems.
Live more. Connect more. Smile more. Think more. Find more. Consume more. Discover more. Share more. Learn more. Make more. Play more. More. Be yourself. No more. The future is broken.
Everyone withdraws into their own small gated community, afraid of a larger forum. They stay inside their little ponds, leaking whatever truth suits them into the growing cesspool of society at large.
The different cardinal truths neither clash nor mesh. No one is invalidated, but nobody is right.
Not even natural selection can take place here. The world is being engulfed in truth.
And this is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but a whimper.
We're trying to stop that from happening.
It's our responsibility as rulers. Just as in genetics, unnecessary information and memory must be filtered out to stimulate the evolution of the species.
And you think you're qualified to decide what's necessary and not?
Absolutely. Who else could wade through the sea of garbage you people produce, retrieve valuable truths, and even interpret their meaning for later generations?
That's what it means to create context.
I'll decide for myself what to believe and what to pass on.
But is that even your own idea?
Or something Snake told you?
That's the proof of your incompetence right there. You lack the qualifications to exercise free will.
That's not true. I have the right.
Does something like a self exist inside of you?
That which you call self serves as nothing more than a mask to cover your own being.
In this era of ready-made truths, self is just something used to preserve those positive emotions that you occasionally feel.
Another possibility is that self is a concept you conveniently borrowed under the logic that it would endow you with some sense of strength.
That's crap!
Is it? Would you prefer that someone else tell you? All right then. Explain it to him.
Jack, you're simply the best, and you got there all by yourself.
Oh, what happened? Do you feel lost? Why not try a bit of soul-searching?
Don't think you'll find anything, though.
Ironic that although self is something that you yourself fashion, every time something goes wrong, you turn around and place the blame on something else.
It's not my fault. It's not your fault.
In denial, you simply resort to looking for another, more convenient truth in order to make yourself feel better.
Leaving behind in an instant the so-called truth you once embraced.
Should someone like that be able to decide what is truth?
Should someone like you even have the right to decide?
You've done nothing but abuse your freedom.
You don't deserve to be free.
We're not the ones smothering the world. You are.
The individual is supposed to be weak, but far from powerless. A single person has the potential to ruin the world.
And the age of digitized communication has given even more power to the individual. Too much power for an immature species.
This year's highest paid TikTokers brought in more than $55 million in 2021. Over the last year, their earnings have surged, driven partly by their efforts to expand their fame beyond the platform that first turned them into celebrities. And this is serious money. We're talking up to $500,000 for a single post. We've got Avani Gregg at number 5, becoming TikTok famous in 2019 as Clown Girl posting makeup tutorials. That same year, she quit her job as a lifeguard, moved from Indiana to LA, and was one of the original members of Hype House, a content creator collective. Her earnings, $4.75 million. Also tied for number 5 is Chris Collins. Collins was working as a hairdresser in Vancouver when COVID hit. Her brother suggested she download TikTok while she was out of work. She did, and soon began amassing millions of followers on the app, where she played a number of recurring characters, many of them based on family members. Her earnings, $4.75 million. We've got 2 tied at the number 4 spot, Josh Richards and Bella Porch, each with earnings of $5 million. Josh Richards' TikTok feed is full of bro-y antics, but brands like Amazon and Cash App don't seem to mind that one bit. He's monetized his party animal persona. He co-hosts a Barstool Sports podcast, has Annie energy drinks, and co-founded a VC firm, Animal Capital. He's also done a Netflix movie, Under the Stadium Lights, and started his own production company, Crosscheck Studios, a joint venture with Mark Wahlberg's production outfit. Bella Porch is the 3rd most followed person, becoming TikTok famous in August of 2020 with this video.
The B, it's M to the B, it's M, 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 M to the B, it's M to the B, it's M to the B, bang.
Which later became the most viewed TikTok of the year. Born in the Philippines and later raised in Texas, she served in the US Navy as a helicopter mechanic. Brands love her, and in the past year she's done sponsored content for Google, Prada, and Tinder. In May, Porch released her first single, Build a Bitch. It reached number 56 on Billboard's pop chart, signaling what she hopes is her next phase as a musician. Number 3 is Addison Rae, who started making dancing TikToks as a student at LSU. After seeing her popularity on the app rise, she moved to LA to pursue being a full-time celeb. There, she became friends with a group of TikTok stars and helped form Hype House, a content creator collective which elevated her profile further. She was seemingly everywhere in 2021, getting a lead role in He's All That, which briefly ranked number 1 in 78 countries after its August debut. A month later, Netflix announced a new deal with Rae for several more movies. She also has a lucrative sponsorship with American Eagle and her Item Beauty line, a joint venture with makeup startup Made by Collective that sells its Last Snack mascara and other products at stores like Sephora. Her earnings, $8.5 million. And the most famous siblings on the app, Charli and Dixie D'Amelio. Drawing plenty of comparisons to the famous Kardashian sisters, they now have their own Hulu series, The D'Amelio Show. It premiered in September and was renewed for another season 2 months later. In December, Dixie performed at the Garden and 9 other venues for the Jingle Ball concert series alongside Ed Sheeran and the Jonas Brothers. And together, the sisters have a lucrative brand, Social Tourist, a joint venture with Hollister sold at roughly 500 stores operated by the retailer. They, of course, take home the number 1 and number 2 spots. Charli at $17.5 million and Dixie at $10 million.
Mental health issues affect people of all ages, income levels, and cultures. No one is immune. Advocate for and promote mental well-being in your life and to those around you. You're not alone. The more you know.
Building a legacy involves figuring out what is wanted and what needs to be done for that goal. All this you used to struggle with. Now we think for you.
We are your guardians, after all.
You want to control human thought? Human behavior?
Of course. Anything can be quantified nowadays.
My research applies modern microelectronics to medical device applications. So the challenge in developing new medical therapies is designing and developing drugs is becoming less efficient. And so there's a new field developing called bioelectronic medicine, leveraging on success and the power of electronics. And the thought is that having a new approach will give us new therapies to improve quality of life. Our nervous system communicates through ionic currents, and it's possible to interface onto these electrical signals using electrodes. So electrodes convert ionic currents within the body to electronic currents outside the body. All our main organs in our body all have communication with the brain, and so if we're able to intercept that communication and modulate it in the correct way, it's possible to address certain diseases that aren't normally associated with the nervous system. So for example, things like rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, asthma, these are all conditions that progress because of our body's inflammatory response. And so it's possible to suppress our body's inflammatory response through modulating the nervous system. And so by interfacing to the nervous system, we can avoid certain conditions, possibly in the future. I think we've already seen impact in hearing, in cochlear implants, in movement disorders, things like Parkinson's disease, essential tremor, dystonia. But we're going to see this technology being applied to more and more conditions out there. Closed-loop therapies for epilepsy, devices for visual prosthesis, so helping the blind see again. But also there's a huge application space to dementia and to mental health.
Ah, 007.
Q?
Please excuse the mess. Everything's a little bit up in the air, what with the changes and all. Couple of things to get through. Shall we get started? Just relax. That's it, lovely. Now, you may feel a small... Christ! Prick.
What is it?
Cutting-edge nanotechnology. Smart blood. Microchips in your bloodstream allows us to track your movements in the field. You see those readouts? We can monitor your vital signs from anywhere on the planet.
That sounds marvelous.
Call it a post-Mexico insurance policy. By direct order of M.
I completely understand.
Good.
The protagonist of the movie is an obese, old-fashioned, and carefree man named Dusty. All he cares about is eating and watching vintage movies. With the advancements in technology, the world has moved on, but Dusty is still stuck in the 80s. He doesn't like using smartphones, thinks texting is a waste of time, and even believes that emojis are strange. Come on, Dusty, even the grapefruit? The one thing he fears is millennials. He can't stand teenagers who have contrasting opinions to his. At the start of the movie, Dusty is in the car, munching on a burger and listening to some 80s rock. Despite being 50 years old, he is carefree and doesn't have a full-time job. This habit has caused Dusty to lose all his friends, but he could care less about it. Soon, a bunch of millennials catch him in the act and take videos of him. Dusty is obviously uncomfortable, but due to his super awkward nature, he can't say a word to them. After a while, his niece Chloe joins him in his car, and the two proceed to a movie theater. It turns out that they have been watching movies together since Chloe was young, and this tradition is being continued today. The two appear to be close, but with the contrasting differences in age and habits, it's clear that Chloe is a bit weirded out by her uncle. This becomes even more evident when Dusty plays an old song, which she calls boring. Get out of the car, Chloe. On reaching a theater called Cinethrax, the uncle-niece duo starts debating on what movie to watch. Dusty wants to go with a vintage 80s movie, which he has already seen 10 times, but Chloe wants to watch a Cinethrax exclusive 3D movie called Chosen, and eventually the stubborn niece gets her way. They then head to the ticket line, where a lot of millennials are clicking selfies and texting. As expected, Uncle Dusty is disgusted by the sight. And to make matters worse, he doesn't even have the money to purchase the movie tickets because they are that expensive. This is part of modern living that Uncle Dusty can't run away from. Hence, Chloe reluctantly coughs up some cash. Strangely, all the Cinethrax employees, including the ticket seller and the bouncers, have a weird and gloomy look on their faces. Sounds normal to me. Before entering the main theater, Uncle Dusty checks his 3D glasses into the bin and brings out his own bulky glasses, which he calls shifters. Apparently, he hates 3D movies so much that he has brought these shifters to flatline them into normal 2D movies. He has even brought a pair for his niece Chloe, but as expected, the latter doesn't want to wear them. After this, Dusty heads to the canteen to buy some popcorn. There, some millennials gang up on him and inquire if he has accidentally ended up in the 3D section. Dusty simply says that he is a movie freak and leaves. Weird flex, but okay. When he enters the main theater, he finds the manager of Cinethrax, a good-looking guy named Zach, flirting with Chloe. However, as soon as Dusty approaches them, Zach makes an excuse and leaves. However, at the same time, two of Chloe's friends arrive and sit next to her. It turns out this was her plan all along. The movie time with her uncle was just an excuse to get out of the house. Dusty is annoyed that Chloe's not spending time with him, and also because her friends have taken his seat. He tries convincing her to sit with him, but Chloe doesn't want to. She has started seeing her uncle as a boring person who will embarrass her in front of her friends every chance he gets. Hearing this, Dusty becomes sad, but still, he decides to sit right behind Chloe's seat. Soon, Zach gets on stage and announces that the movie is about to begin. He lays out the rules that no one is allowed to use their phones, and that everyone has to put their Cinethrax 3D glasses on. The millennials are pumped up with the announcement, and they start cheering in excitement. Then, the movie Chosen finally begins. It is a love story with some pretty weird acting and storylines, but nonetheless, because of the ultra-realistic 3D action, the millennials are loving it.
Great Scott!
They scream and cheer at literally every bit of dialogue. However, Uncle Dusty, who is not wearing any glasses, is left disappointed with the movie. He can't wait to go home already. Shortly after, he remembers his shifter glasses and decides to put them on. However, because they flatline the 3D into a boring 2D version, Dusty is still not intrigued. So, he decides to annoy the other people around. He sees one of Chloe's friends texting and reminds her that using the phone is not allowed in the theater. In fact, he causes a minor ruckus, which doesn't sit well with the other millennials there. At last, when Dusty still refuses to back down, Chloe tells her friend to stop using the phone so that they can watch the movie in peace. Dusty believes that he has won, completely oblivious that he's embarrassing his niece in front of her cool friends. As the movie goes on, Dusty gets more and more bored. In one scene, he notices something very unusual, as if the screen is faulty. However, when he takes off his shifter glasses, there is nothing. Confused, Dusty wants to try on the Cinethrax glasses to see what the real movie experience is like. He asks Chloe to lend her his glasses for a while, but by this time, she is fed up with her uncle's childish antics. She bluntly berates him for embarrassing her in front of her friends and requests him to act normally. Left with no options, Uncle Dusty puts on his shifter glasses and continues watching the movie. Suddenly, he notices a giant worm-like creature peering through the screen. All the millennials in the theater are completely oblivious to the worm's presence, but Dusty can see it clearly. Terrified, he quickly takes off his glasses, and with this, the worm disappears. A few minutes pass by, but the worm is nowhere to be seen. So, Dusty suspects that it has something to do with his 2D glasses. Hence, he puts them back on, and as soon as he does, the giant worm attacks him with its suckers. Dusty screams in horror and causes chaos inside the theater. He also drops his popcorn all over Chloe and her friends. Enraged, the millennials start calling him names, but Dusty is sure that there is something unusual going on inside the theater. He tries explaining it to Chloe, but as expected, she is having none of it. Instead, she is embarrassed and expresses her regrets about him being there. The commotion soon attracts the Cinethrax manager Zach, who approaches Dusty and takes him away, much to the delight of the other millennials.
Get that boomer out of here! Yeah, old people suck.
Worried that her uncle has gotten himself into trouble, Chloe also follows. Outside, Dusty tries to explain that something came out of the screen and approached him, but Zach concludes that the old man is simply mistaking the ultra-realistic 3D action for a real thing. However, Dusty is sure that he saw a worm-like creature. At last, he decides to get a refund and leave the place, but to his surprise, Chloe doesn't want to go. Instead, she chastises her uncle for embarrassing her several times, just so that he can become the center of attraction. Saying this, she leaves him and goes back inside the theater. Dusty tries going after her, but Zach stops him, saying he's not allowed to go in there anymore. Left with no choice, a devastated Uncle Dusty decides to wait for Chloe till the movie ends. But since he cannot wait in the main hall, Zach takes him to the projection room. There, Zach and his employees start talking about how Cinethrax will take over the world because of its super realistic cinematics and visuals. The age of old 2D movies is gone, and now 3D has taken over. James Cameron, is that you? They also ask Dusty to give it a try, and if he still doesn't like it, they will refund his money. Zach then hands Dusty a pair of Cinethrax glasses, but after a long thought, the latter rejects it. Because of this, the Cinethrax employees become enraged and suddenly turn into possessed, zombie-like beings. They then attack Dusty and almost succeed in driving him into a sharp object, but somehow the uncle manages to escape from their clutches. How did he do it? He simply took a rotten burger out of his pocket and shoved it into the possessed zombies. Dusty then runs to the main hall and tries finding a way out of the building. However, it is impossible, as all the Cinethrax employees have turned into zombies and are on the lookout for him. So, Dusty sneaks inside the storeroom and braces himself to do the one thing which he hates the most: texting. He sends several messages to Chloe, where he apologizes for being a jerk and also admits that he is scared of losing her. Then he proceeds to warn her of the impending danger, but before he can do so, Zach and the others break in through the door and take him away. Meanwhile, Chloe has started feeling bad for scolding her uncle earlier. She waits for his next message, but it doesn't come. Hence, when she finds his shifter glasses lying on the floor, she picks them up and tries them on. Lo and behold, she notices a giant tentacled creature, which has now taken over the entire screen. The creature is also sucking the life out of all the other millennials, meaning that Chloe is the only uninfected human left in the theater. Terrified, she takes off her glasses and tries running, but all the infected millennials start following her. A major struggle ensues, and it appears as if all hope is lost. But fortunately, with the help of a prop sword, Chloe manages to swat the hundreds of infected millennials before entering the projection room. There, she notices her uncle bound and tied to a chair, and finally realizes that he was telling the truth. Either that, or he's into some kinky stuff. However, before she could help him, Zach and the others arrive and apprehend her. Following this, Zach reveals the main creature behind all this mayhem. It turns out to be an alien, which has traveled from another galaxy to extend its species. Zach mentions that being infected was the best thing to ever happen to him, as now he doesn't feel any pain or anxiety. He also encourages the uncle-niece duo to embrace the change, as the alien only wants to help them overcome their miserable and boring lives. Saying this, he forcefully puts on a pair of Cinethrax 3D glasses to Dusty and makes him watch the movie. This will apparently turn him into one of them. But fortunately, Chloe intervenes in the nick of time and stabs the alien with a broken piece of glass. This momentarily stuns the infected zombies, allowing Chloe to untie her uncle from his bondage. Unfortunately, because they are about to escape, Zach releases a tentacle from his mouth, which grabs Chloe and starts possessing her. And in no time, her face starts turning, implying that the alien has entered her body. Just then, Uncle Dusty grabs an axe and chops off Zach's head like an 80s hero, but by this time, the damage has already been done. Soon, the two reach the exit door, and when Dusty opens it, he sees that the city outside has been ravaged by a colossal alien. Here, he finally realizes that the world has been taken over by aliens. At the same time, Chloe also changes her demeanor. She tells her uncle to embrace the change and accept the fact that there is no escaping. She then mentions that Zach was right. There is no pain or anxiety in this life. Soon, the other millennials and Cinethrax employees also arrive and start persuading him to accept the change. They even sing a song to help Dusty change his mind.
I'll take you to the candy shop.
At last, realizing that there is no hope, Dusty finally gives in and starts singing along to the song.
I'll let you lick the lollipop.
In the last scene, all the people get back inside the theater, where the same movie is being played. Chloe, who is now completely possessed, gives her uncle a pair of the Cinethrax glasses so that he can embrace the change and become one of them. The movie ends as Dusty anxiously waits for the alien to arrive and possess him.
And a warning from Tesla Motors CEO Elon Musk. It has nothing to do with cars. Instead, Musk warns about artificial intelligence, which he has called more dangerous than nuclear weapons. Musk spoke at a symposium at MIT.
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Didn't work out.
I take it there will be no HAL 9000 going up to Mars.
HAL 9000 would be easy. It's way more complex than, it would put HAL 9000 to shame. Yeah. Sounds like a puppy dog.
Of course, referencing Space Odyssey. Following his next question, Musk blanked out and apologized, saying he was thinking about the AI thing for a second. So engrossed was he in that idea.
This could destroy the space-time continuum. I don't belong here. My friend, where we're going, we don't date. Actually, I have no idea what will be.
They're insane. And the more money you give them, the more money you throw at them, the more funding they have, the more insane they become. Who do you think is the driving force behind all this? The prince and power of the air? Possibly. The prince and power of the air. I remember years ago when I was working at Radio Shack. Years ago. I remember them switching over from analog to digital. And I said, Lord, what's this new technology? What's this all about? And the Lord showed me. The Holy Spirit brought that scripture to me. Satan is the prince and power of the air. His plan is to get every bit of information into the digital domain. He doesn't want it to be analog, inside of a wire. He wants everything wireless. He wants everything in the cloud so he can manipulate it. These are wicked, evil people that are working with. In fact, we can't call them people anymore because even the Bible calls them brute beasts. That's right. They're not human anymore. Those that are going to worship the beast, they're not human. They're brute beasts. And they're going to worship the beast.
Nothing but the blood of Jesus. This is all my righteousness. Nothing but the blood